My mother always said my twin sister and I started fighting before we were even born. Not kicking gently. Not moving in circles. Fighting. Thank you for returning to my channel. Please comment, like, and share. Also subscribe so you will be the first to see my notifications each time I upload new stories. She would place her hand on her stomach and say, "It feels like you two are wrestling in there." She said it with a laugh, but later, after everything happened, her voice changed whenever she remembered those months. It turned thin and shaky, like she was speaking through a cold window. My twin sister's name is Lina, and mine is Mara. She was born first by exactly 5 minutes, but she never let me forget it. She acted like the whole world owed her something for those 5 minutes, like she deserved every bit of daylight, and I was supposed to sit in the shadows. But the truth is darker than that. The truth is, what happened before we were born, something nobody could see, nobody could prove, but everybody whispered about. They said, I made her blind. They said it without saying it. A pause. A sideways look. A soft cough that tried to hide blame. I don't know if I hurt her. I don't know if she hated me first, or if I only felt her hatred echoing inside the dark water we floated in. All I know is that we entered the world already broken, and already broken from each other. The first memory. Most people say they don't remember anything from being babies. But I remember something. Not clear. Not sharp. More like a feeling pressed into my bones. I remember warmth and weight. I remember something beside me, pressing against me, pushing back, like a heartbeat, with fists. And I remember fear. Not mine at first. Hers. When we were born, Lina didn't cry right away. The doctors panicked. My mother panicked. My father paced the room, repeating, "Is she breathing? Is she breathing?" When she did cry, the sound was strange, thin, and high. The sound of something already hurting. Minutes later, they found out she couldn't see. Blind from birth, the doctor said. No cause, no injury, no infection, just darkness. My mother cried. My father held her, and I lay there next to my sister, feeling her tiny hand shake in the blanket between us. She didn't reach for me. She never did. Growing up together, but not together. People always said, twins must be so close. Not us. Never us. We grew up in the same house, but the distance between us was like miles of cold ocean. Lina hated me before she knew what hate was. She hated the sound of my breathing. She hated the way people told her, "Your sister is helping you," when I guided her hand to her cup or told her where her toys were. She hated how easily the world came to me. Light, colors, things she could not have. And I hated feeling guilty just for being able to see. Our parents tried everything. Matching clothes, shared bedrooms, family therapy when we were 8. But nothing worked. Whenever our mother said, "Hold your sister's hand," Lina yanked away like my touch burned. Whenever a teacher said, "Mara, help Lina find her desk," she hissed under her breath, "Don't touch me." Kids at school whispered things. She hates her sister because she's jealous. No, because her sister made her blind. My mom said twins fight in the womb. Maybe she poked her eyes. I tried not to cry. I tried not to break. But I felt like a walking disaster, like my existence was a wound on her life. The night of the storm. One memory marks everything, the memory that changed how I saw my sister forever. I was 11. She was 11. The age where you understand too much, but don't know what to do with the knowledge. A storm hit our town, heavy rain, lightning, a sky that looked like it was ripping open. The wind shook the windows so hard the glass almost cried. I heard something from Lina's room. A thud, a gasp, a soft, choking sob that didn't sound like her usual anger. I ran in without thinking. She was on the floor beside her bed, hands out, trying to find something. Anything. "Lina? Are you hurt?" I asked. "Leave me alone," she snapped, but her voice cracked. "Go away, Mara." I stepped closer anyway. I said, "Go away." Lightning flashed, and I saw it, blood on her knee where she'd hit the bed frame. Her hands shaking. She couldn't find her way back up. Something inside me cracked open. Not pity, not guilt. Something else. Something deeper. "I'm not leaving you," I whispered. "You always ruin everything," she said. Her voice was trembling and small. Even before we were born, I froze. This again. The one thing she never said out loud until that night. People tell me things, she continued. Adults think blind kids can't hear whispers. But I hear everything. Her fists clenched. They think you hurt me, she said. Before we were born. They think you made me like this. My throat tightened. Lina, I didn't. I know, she interrupted. I blinked. She spoke quietly, the storm pressing each word deeper. I know you didn't try to, she said, but you still did. That hurt more than if she had screamed. She reached out suddenly, not to hit, not to push. Her hand searched the air until it brushed my shoulder. For the first time in our entire lives, she touched me without anger. I can't see, she whispered. I'll never see, and you'll always be the last thing I didn't see. Tears ran down my face. I didn't say anything. I didn't know what to say. The storm rumbled like a warning. Her fingers curled around my shirt. Help me up, she murmured. So I did. And for one night, the distance between us disappeared. After the storm, you would think that night changed everything. That we became close. That she forgave me. That I forgave myself. But life isn't like fairy tales or family movies. After the storm, Lina didn't talk about that night again. She pretended it never happened. She went back to pushing me away. Back to stiff shoulders and cold words. Back to refusing my help even when she needed it. But something had changed, I could feel it. She didn't hate me like before. Now, she hated me differently. Before the storm, she hated me like I was the one who stole something from her. After the storm, she hated me because she didn't know how to stop. And I loved her because I didn't know how to stop, either. The question nobody dared to ask. When we turned 14, my mom finally asked the question that had lived in the walls of our house for years. We were sitting at the dinner table. Chicken, potatoes, the normal meal for a moment that wasn't normal at all. My mother put down her fork and said quietly, "Do you girls ever remember anything from when you were in the womb?" Lina stopped eating. Her hand froze. I stared at my plate as if the mashed potatoes could save me. My mom continued, her voice thin. "Your ultrasound pictures. You were always tangled together. The doctor said it was normal. But sometimes I wonder if—" "Stop," Lina said sharply. My mom flinched. "I don't remember anything," Lina said. "And even if we did fight, we were babies. Or not even babies. Just floating things." She spoke like she had rehearsed the speech. My father coughed and said, "It doesn't matter what happened then. What matters is what happens now." But his eyes looked heavy, like he didn't believe his own words. I wanted to speak. I wanted to say what I felt, the memories of pressure, darkness, fear that didn't belong to me. But I stayed silent. Some truths feel dangerous when spoken aloud, like they might change the world in ways you can't undo. The first time she laughs. When we were 16, something happened that I still think about on quiet nights. We were walking home from school together, not by choice. Our parents forced us to avoid walking alone after a wave of break-ins in the area. Lina used her cane, tapping the sidewalk in front of her. I walked slightly behind, making sure she wouldn't step into something dangerous without making it obvious I was watching. At one point, her cane hit something soft. A squeal followed. It was a puppy, fluffy, golden, clumsy, and way too excited to exist. It licked her shoe. Lina startled. Then she laughed. It wasn't loud. It wasn't bright. It was soft like a memory of happiness. I froze. I had never heard her laugh. Not genuinely. Not since we were tiny children. The puppy jumped on her leg and she reached down slowly. Unsure, her fingers trembling. They sank into its fur. She gasped a breath full of wonder. "What does it look like?" she asked without thinking. And I answered without thinking. "Like sunlight." She didn't say anything. She just kept petting the puppy, her jaw tight, but her smile unmistakable. For a moment, she looked peaceful. For a moment, I saw the sister she could have been. For a moment, I believed we still had time to fix the years between us. But moments are short. She stood up suddenly and wiped her eyes. "Let's go," she said. The laughter was gone, but I had heard it, and I knew she had felt it. The puppy moment should have brought us closer. It didn't, but it planted something small, something quiet, something stubborn inside me, a seed of hope that maybe my twin sister didn't fully hate me, even if she thought she did. Hope is a dangerous thing, but I held on to it anyway. Life moved forward, as it always does, even when your heart stays stuck in one place. The year, everything changed. We were 17 when the world around us began to shift. Our school was prepping us for exams, college choices, future pathways, all the stuff teachers promise will determine the rest of your life. I wasn't worried about exams or colleges. I was worried about Lina. She was becoming quieter than usual, not angry quiet, but a hollow, drifting quiet, like she was walking through fog nobody else could see. She refused to attend the orientation trips for students with disabilities. She refused mobility training. She refused help, always, with a tight jaw. Some days she stayed in her room until dinner, sitting in darkness she didn't need to see to feel. I tried to talk to her. She shut the door. I knocked. She didn't answer. But at night, I heard her, soft crying, the kind that isn't loud or dramatic, the kind that sounds like someone trying not to break. I lay in my own bed, eyes open, feeling each tear that wasn't mine. It wasn't guilt, it was grief. Grief for a relationship we had never gotten to have, a talent hidden in the dark. One afternoon, my mom asked me to bring laundry to Lina's room. "Just leave it on her desk," she said. I pushed the door open slowly. "Lina, I'm coming in." No answer. I stepped inside and froze. She was sitting on her floor, cross-legged, surrounded by sheets of paper. Her fingers moved gently across the page, not random touches, but purposeful ones. She was drawing, except not drawing like I did, with pencils and color. She used textured pens, raised lines, tiny symbols only her fingertips could understand. A whole world built by touch. I had never known she could do that. "Lina?" I whispered. She jolted and slapped her hand over the papers. "Get out." "I'm sorry," I said quickly. "Mom told me to." I said, "Get out." Her voice cracked, and that hurt more than the anger. I placed the laundry down slowly. "I didn't know you drew." "Of course you didn't," she snapped. "You don't know anything about me." "I want to," I said softly. Silence. Tight, stretching, breathing. Finally she muttered, "Leave." I stepped back, but before the door closed, I heard her whisper, not to me, but to the paper beneath her hands. "Don't touch what I can't see." The words sank into me, heavy and aching. The rumor that broke something. A few weeks later, something happened at school. It started like most things do, stupid, small, and ugly. I was walking down the hall when I heard laughing. Not friendly laughing, cruel laughing. "Did you hear?" a boy said. "They say Mara stabbed her sister in the womb." My whole body went cold. "They say the doctor told the parents they were too close," another said. "That one baby squeezed the other baby's head, like a python or something. That's how blind babies happen, right? Babies fighting in the womb?" The group laughed. I couldn't breathe. Someone noticed me and murmured, "Oh crap. She's right there." But nobody apologized. Nobody corrected themselves. They just scattered like insects when the light flips on. I walked away stiffly, pretending the words hadn't clung to my skin like poison. But that rumor spread faster than truth ever could. People stared at me differently that week. Not like I was a monster. Worse, like I might be. That night at home, I sat in the bathroom with the door locked, pressing my forehead against the cool tile. I whispered to myself, "I didn't hurt her. I didn't. I didn't." But something darker whispered back, "What if you did?" That thought followed me for days, a quiet shadow twisting around my ribs. The girl in the mirror. One evening, I found Lina sitting in the living room alone. She rarely sat anywhere except her room, so the sight made me pause. The TV was on, but she wasn't facing it. She was holding one of her tactile drawings, fingers moving slowly over the lines. "Do you remember anything?" she asked suddenly. Her voice startled me. She didn't turn her head toward me. She just knew I was there. "Remember what?" I asked. She swallowed. "Before we were born." My heart thudded. "I've told you," I said softly. "I only remember feelings, pressure, heat, fear. She exhaled, long and shaky. I keep thinking. Maybe we weren't fighting. Maybe we were just stuck. Her voice wavered. Or maybe I got in your way, she said. Maybe you were trying to move and I... Stop, I said sharply. She flinched. You didn't do anything wrong, I continued. You didn't deserve any of this. Silence filled the room like fog. Then she asked the question that broke something inside me. If you could go back, she whispered. Before we were born, would you push me away? No, I said immediately. You wouldn't try to save yourself? There was nothing to save myself from. She turned her face slightly, as if she were trying to find me in the dark she lived in. But my blindness made your life harder. No, I said, and my voice cracked. The distance between us did. Not your blindness. Never your blindness. Her lips trembled. For a second, I thought she might cry. But she only said, I don't believe you. And she left the room. I stood there alone, staring at the doorway she disappeared through, feeling helpless. Sometimes I think the hardest kind of love is the kind that only one person knows how to give. The accident. It happened in winter, the cold kind where the world looks brittle, like one wrong step could crack everything open. School had ended early due to a power outage. Snow was falling lightly, soft enough to look beautiful but heavy enough to hide every danger underneath. I texted Lina, wait for me. I'll walk with you. No answer. I walked fast, slipping on patches of ice, breath fogging in front of me. When I reached the corner near our school, I saw a small crowd gathered by the crosswalk. Panic shot through me. I pushed through people. Excuse me, sorry, move. And then I saw her, Lina, on the ground, her cane lying several feet away. A car pulled over, the driver shaking, apologizing. A teacher kneeling by my sister, holding her shoulders. I dropped to my knees beside her. Lina? Oh God, Lina. She was conscious, but shaking violently. I slipped, she whispered. The car didn't hit me. I fell. I didn't know where I was. I couldn't. Her words scrambled into panicked breaths. I grabbed her hand. It's okay, I said. You're okay. But my voice broke, betraying how not okay I was. She clutched me like she was drowning. For the first time in years, she didn't pull away. The hospital room. The doctor said she was fine, no broken bones, just bruises and shock. But Lina didn't look fine. She lay in the hospital bed, small and fragile under the white sheets. She kept her hand wrapped around mine, even in her sleep. When she woke, her voice was tiny. I thought I was going to die. You're safe, I whispered. She shook her head. I couldn't tell where the street was. I couldn't hear the traffic right. Everything sounded wrong. Too loud. Too close. Her fingers tightened on my hand. Then she said something she had never said before. Don't leave. My chest squeezed. I'm right here, I said. I'm not going anywhere. Her face crumpled. I hate depending on you, she whispered. I know. It makes me feel weak. I know. It makes me feel like I'm less. You're not, I said, and tears blurred my vision. You've never been less. She turned her face toward me, not perfectly, but close enough. You really believe that? Yes. Silence. Soft. Fragile. Then she whispered, I'm scared, Mara. I'm scared all the time. I held her hand tighter. Then let me be scared with you, I said. We don't have to do this alone. Her lips parted. A tiny breath escaped. A surrender. And for the first time, she didn't push me away. The confession. Later that night, when the room was dark and quiet, except for the soft beeping of machines, Lina spoke again. Mara, she whispered. I remember something. My heart stopped. From before we were born. Her voice trembled, but she continued. I remember. Pressure. On my head. On my eyes. She paused. I remember being pushed. My throat tightened. I didn't breathe. But I don't know if it was you, she said softly. Or if it was the wall of the womb. Or if it was just being too close. Her hand searched for mine again. I don't want it to be you, she whispered. It wasn't, I whispered back. I swear to you, it wasn't. Her voice broke. Then why do I feel like you're the last thing I almost saw? A tear slid down my cheek. Maybe, I said slowly, Because you were the last thing beside me before everything changed." She didn't answer. She just cried quietly. Her fingers tangled with mine, and I cried too. Two broken halves trying to understand a wound older than memory. The beginning of something new. When Lina was discharged the next morning, she didn't let go of my hand. Not once. At home, she asked me to sit with her in her room. She took out her textured drawings and placed one in my hand. "Describe it," she said. I ran my fingers over the raised lines, a swirling pattern, soft curves, sharp angles. "It feels like wind," I said. "Like motion. Like something moving fast but gently." She smiled a small, real smile. "That's what I wanted it to feel like." We sat together for hours, her drawing, me describing, our fingers brushing against lines made for her touch and explained by my sight. We didn't talk about the past. Not yet. Not fully. But something inside us had shifted. The distance didn't feel like an ocean anymore. More like a river. Still wide. Still deep, but crossable. For a while, things were fragile. Not better. Not fixed. Just breakable in a different way. Lina wasn't angry every time I tried to help her now, but she wasn't comfortable either. She didn't push me away, but she didn't know how to pull me closer. It was like we were walking across thin ice, one heavy step and everything could crack beneath us. We lived in a quiet truce. Mom sensed it and tried not to get too hopeful. Dad pretended not to watch us, but I caught him looking sometimes with the kind of hope that scared me, because if this fell apart again, it would crush them too. But we were trying. For the first time in our lives, we were both trying. And that was new. The invitation. 2 weeks after the accident, Lina knocked on my bedroom door. She never knocked before. I opened it quickly. She stood there with her cane in one hand, her other hand nervously twisting the end of her shirt. "Can you walk with me?" she asked. "Sure," I said, grabbing my jacket. "Where?" "To the old oak tree," she said. "The one near the creek." My eyebrows rose. We hadn't gone there since we were kids. Back then, we'd sit under it and listen to the water running over stones. She couldn't see it, but she loved the sound. Together, we stepped outside. The air was cold but gentle, the kind of cold that wakes you up instead of stabbing you. Lina walked slowly at first, tapping her cane ahead of her. I didn't touch her unless she asked. I moved beside her, not guiding, not leading, just matching her pace. "Halfway there," she said quietly. "Do you think it's strange we're trying so hard now?" "No," I said. "I think it's brave." She let out a soft breath that might have been a laugh. When we reached the oak tree, we sat on the old wooden bench nearby. It creaked under us, the same familiar sound from when we were kids. The creek whispered beside us. Lina tilted her head slightly. "This is the only place I remember feeling calm," she said. I smiled. "You used to put your feet in the water and scream when it was cold." She grinned faintly. "I remember." Silence settled between us. But this silence didn't hurt. It felt like something waiting. Finally, she asked, "Do you ever wonder why we were born together?" I blinked. I never questioned it. "I do," she whispered. "All the time." She touched the bark of the tree with her fingertips, feeling the grooves like braille. "You have your world," she said. "Colors, shapes, faces." She gestured around her vaguely. "And I have mine." Her voice softened. "Dark, but full of sound. Touch. Other things." She paused. "We're too different, Mara. Maybe we were never meant to fit." I shook my head. "Maybe we're two halves of something bigger," I said. "Something complicated. Something messy. But something real." Her lips parted, but she didn't argue. Instead she said, "Sometimes I'm scared. I'll hold you back." "You don't. But you help me so much. And you help me too," I said. She frowned. "How?" "You teach me how to feel instead of just see," I said softly. "You make me pay attention. You make me patient. You make me brave." She went still. "For years," I whispered, "I've been afraid I hurt you, afraid I broke you." Her voice trembled. "And I've been afraid you'd give up on me." I touched her hand gently. "I never have. And I never will." She didn't pull away. Instead, she interlaced her fingers with mine, slow, careful, like she was learning a new alphabet. The first, real fight. Of course, new closeness means new conflict. 2 days later, it happened. Lina wanted to walk alone to the library. It was only 5 blocks away. She insisted she could handle it. "I'll be fine," she said as she grabbed her cane. "I know," I answered. "But can I walk with you? Not to guide you, just to be there." "I don't need you there." "I didn't say you did. You think I can't do anything alone." "That's not what it is," she snapped. "Everyone thinks it. And now that we're getting along, I feel like I'm suffocating under your kindness." "Suffocating?" I repeated, stunned. She tightened her grip on her cane. "It feels like you're everywhere," she said. "Every step I take. You're right there watching me like I'm going to fall. I just want you safe." "And what if I don't want you protecting me every second?" she demanded. "What if I want to live my life without feeling like I owe you?" My breath caught. "Owe me?" I said softly. "Lina, you don't owe me anything." She went silent. Her anger wasn't real anger, it was fear dressed in a louder coat. I stepped closer. "You want space?" I asked gently. "Okay, take it. You want to walk alone? Do it. You don't have to explain yourself." She trembled. "I don't want you to disappear," she whispered. "I just don't want to feel like I'm broken." "I don't think you're broken," I said firmly. "I think you're brave." Tears filled her eyes. Though she tried to hide it by turning her head, she whispered, "Will you still be here when I get back?" "I'll always be here," I said. "But you don't need to hold my hand every day." She nodded slowly, and she walked to the library alone. I watched from the front door, not following, not hovering, just watching long enough to be sure she crossed the first street safely. Then I went inside and waited. It took an hour, then 2. I tried not to panic. I didn't want to make her feel like a child. But when the doorknob turned, I practically ran. Lina stood there, rosy cheeks from cold air, cane tapping lightly, a book tucked under her arm. She looked proud. "How was it?" I asked. She lifted her chin. "Cold, but good." I smiled. "I'm glad." She walked up to me and whispered, "Thank you for letting me try." "I didn't let you," I corrected. "You chose it." She smiled, small but real, and for the first time, she looked like she believed me. The notebook of questions. A week later, Lina came into my room holding a small notebook. "I need to ask you some things," she said. Her voice was serious, but not angry. "Okay," I said, sitting up. "Ask anything." She opened the notebook. Her handwriting was uneven, but careful. The first question made my breath catch. "What do you think I look like?" I swallowed. "You're beautiful," I said instantly. She frowned. "That's not what I mean." "I know," I said. "Let me try." I moved closer, choosing each word slowly. "You have the same hair as me, dark, soft, but yours falls straighter. You have my nose, but smaller. Your smile curves up on the right side a little more than the left." She raised a hand to touch her cheek, trying to imagine it. "And your eyes." I hesitated. "Your eyes don't show color the way mine do. But they're still expressive. They still shine when you're happy," she whispered. "But they don't work. That doesn't make them any less beautiful." Her lips parted, and she looked like she didn't know what to do with the warmth in my voice. She turned the page. "What's the last thing you remember from before we were born?" I tensed. She felt it. "You don't have to," she began. "No," I said. "I want to tell you." I closed my eyes. "I remember." "Wait," I said. Something pressed against me. Hard. Warm. Heavy. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't move. Her fingers tightened around the notebook. "But I never felt like I was hurting someone," I continued. "I felt like I was trying to survive." She swallowed. "Do you think it was me?" she whispered. "I think it was the space," I said. "Too small for 2 hearts. Not your fault. Not mine. Just the way we came into the world." She wiped her cheek quickly. "One last page." She hesitated before reading. "Do you think we can ever be okay?" I didn't even let fear enter my voice. "Yes," I said. "I think we're already starting." Her breath shook. Then she set the notebook down and reached for my hand, no hesitation this time. The night She finally saw me. Not with her eyes. With something deeper. It was late, maybe past midnight, when Lina knocked on my door again. Her hair was messy. Her cheeks were wet with tears. But she wasn't shaking. "Mara," she said, "can I sleep in your room tonight?" My heart clenched. Of course. She climbed into my bed and lay facing where she thought I was. She reached her hand out. I took it. Her voice was small but steady. "I don't hate you," she said. Pause. "I never really hated you." I let out a breath I'd held for years. "I know," I whispered. "No," she said softly. "You don't." She breathed in shakily. "I was angry at the dark," she said. "And you were the closest thing to the light. So I blamed you." My eyes filled with tears. "You don't have to say this." "Yes, I do." She squeezed my hand. "I thought if I pushed you away, I could push away the truth that I was scared. Scared of needing someone. Scared you'd leave. Scared of being the sister who can't see." My chest ached. "Lina, and I was scared," she continued. "That maybe you were the last thing I saw before the world went dark. And I didn't know how to forgive that." Her voice cracked. "But I think I can now." Tears slid down my cheeks. She moved closer, forehead pressing lightly against mine like we were back in the womb, but gentler this time. Kinder. "Mara," she whispered, "I see you. Not with my eyes, but I see you." I closed my eyes, letting her words settle into every empty space inside me. "And I'm ready," she said softly, "to stop hating the dark." I pulled her into a tight, warm hug, the kind sisters should have shared 1,000 times before, and for the first time in our lives, we fell asleep holding each other. Not fighting, not pushing, not breaking, just healing. The morning after Lina slept beside me felt different. Not magical, not perfect, not suddenly cured, just lighter. I woke before she did. Her hair was spread across the pillow, her breathing soft and even. Her hand was still holding mine, fingers loose but warm. For the first time, she didn't look like someone carrying a battlefield inside her. She looked peaceful. I didn't want to move. I wanted that moment to last forever. The rare stillness between two sisters who had spent their whole lives tangled in pain. Neither of them fully understood. But moments end, and eventually her eyelashes fluttered. "Mara," she whispered. "I'm here." She stretched a little slow, sleepy. Then, in a soft voice I almost didn't recognize, she said, "Thank you for not giving up on me." Emotion rose in my chest, tight and overwhelming. "I never will," I said. And I meant it. The day after. Life didn't suddenly become easy, but something had shifted between us, something real. At breakfast, Mom stared so hard she nearly forgot to flip the pancakes before they burned. Dad cleared his throat 3 times before finally asking, "Everything okay with you girls?" Lina and I exchanged a small look. "Yes," she said simply. Our parents didn't ask more. They didn't want to scare it away, whatever it was. As we ate, Lina nudged my arm lightly. "Want to walk to school together?" I almost dropped my fork. "Really?" She nodded. "Only if you want to." I smiled. "I do." And so we walked together side by side. Not with her behind me. Not with me hovering. Not with anger pulsing in the air between us. Just 2 sisters walking to school on a cold morning, sharing warm breath and quiet words. Some kids stared, some whispered, but I didn't care, and neither did she. When others noticed the change, our teachers noticed first. Mrs. Hanson, our English teacher, asked, "How's your sister doing?" She meant it. I could hear the hope in her voice. "She's doing better," I said. Lina was waiting outside the classroom, cane tapping softly as she traced the hallway. A girl named Sarah, someone who had whispered rumors before, approached her. Lina? I heard about the accident. Are you okay?" Lina lifted her chin. "I'm fine." Her voice was strong, clear, not hiding, not shrinking. Sarah hesitated, then said quietly, "I'm glad you're okay." Lina nodded politely, not offering more, but not shutting down either. It was a start. But the real moment came later, during lunch. A boy at a nearby table muttered to his friend, loud enough for us to hear, "Isn't that the girl who can't see anything?" How does she even... Before he finished, Lina turned her head in his direction. I can hear perfectly, though, she said. So, maybe try using your indoor voice. The boy stared, embarrassed. I nearly choked on my sandwich, trying not to laugh. When Lina sat down, a tiny smile tugged at her lips. You handled that perfectly, I whispered. I know, she whispered back. Confidence looked beautiful on her. The truth your heart remembers. One night, after finishing homework, Lina knocked gently on my door. Can we talk? She asked. Of course. She sat on my bed, legs pulled up, fingers twisting nervously. There's something I'm trying to understand, she said. Tell me. You know how I said I remembered pressure on my eyes? In the womb? I nodded slowly. What if I only remember it because people told me what happened? She whispered. What if I created the memory? What if I believed a lie so long that it feels real? My heart ached. Lina, I said, sitting beside her. Even if you remember something scary, it doesn't mean I caused it. We were babies. Everything was tight. Everything was tangled. But the memory feels so real, she whispered. Like something closing around me. I took her hand gently. Sometimes fear becomes a memory, I said softly. Sometimes imagination becomes a scar, she breathed shakily. I don't want to blame you anymore, she said. You don't have to. She looked down, tears gathering at the corners of her eyes. But I spent years hating you for something I didn't understand. And I spent years hating myself for something I couldn't remember. We sat in silence, painful, beautiful silence, letting the truth settle. I don't want the past to own me anymore, she whispered. It doesn't have to, I said. We can choose what happens next. She nodded, wiping her tears. Then she leaned against my shoulder, her head fitting there like it had always belonged. The birthday we feared. Our 18th birthday approached, the one we'd both been secretly dreading. The date meant adulthood, independence, a future we were supposed to build separately. But the past between us made everything feel uncertain. One night, a week before our birthday, Lina asked, "Do you think we'll drift apart again?" My chest tightened. "No," I said honestly. "Not if we choose not to." She exhaled, relieved. "I don't want to lose you," she confessed. "Now that I finally have you." "You won't. I mean, after school, after everything changes." I squeezed her hand. "We'll face the future together, okay? Even if we choose different paths." She nodded, but her brows pinched. "What if I slow you down?" she whispered. "College, work, life." "You won't," I said. "And even if things get hard, we'll figure it out." She leaned into me quietly. "You sound so sure," she whispered. "I am." But inside, I was scared. Too scared of losing her again. Scared of life pulling us apart. Scared that healing didn't always last. Still, some fears are worth facing. For her, I'd face anything. The surprise party. Our parents planned a birthday party, nothing huge. Just family and a few friends. I wasn't expecting anything special. But Lina had a surprise for me. Halfway through the evening, she stood up from her seat. "I want to say something," she said nervously. Everyone went silent. She stepped toward me, reaching out until she found my arm. "I want to say thank you," she said. "To my sister." My breath caught. Lina continued, voice unsteady but brave. "Mara has seen for both of us. Not just the world, but me. Even when I didn't want her to. Even when I pushed her away." Her fingers squeezed my arm gently. "I used to think she was the reason for everything wrong in my life," she said. "But she's the reason anything is right." My eyes filled with tears. "And I want to say I'm sorry," she whispered. "For every time I hurt you. For every time I blamed you. For every time I couldn't see your heart. Even if I couldn't see your face." I covered my mouth with my hand. I could barely breathe. "And," she added softly, "I want everyone here to know something else." She reached out, finding my hand. "My sister didn't make me blind," she said. "Life did. Chance did. But what she's given me has had nothing to do with sight." She smiled, small but glowing. "She gave me courage. And patience. And a reason to try again." Everyone clapped quietly, respectfully, but I didn't hear much. I pulled her into my arms and held her tight. I love you, I whispered. She clung to me. I love you too. The final memory. That night, after the party ended and the house quieted, Lina came to my room one last time. She held something out to me, a sheet of her textured drawings. What's this? I asked. Feel it? I traced the raised lines. Soft curves. 2 circles intertwined. One dark, one light, wrapped around each other. Is it us? I whispered. Yes, Lina said. This is what we were before we were born. I swallowed thickly. And what are we now? She smiled. Still intertwined, she whispered. But facing the same direction now. I set the drawing down gently. Then I asked something I had never dared to ask. Do you remember anything else from the womb? Her fingers brushed my hand. A feeling, she said. Just one. What feeling? She leaned her head on my shoulder. Warmth, she whispered. I remember warmth beside me. She shook her head. But now, I think it was you. My breath caught. Her voice softened to a trembling whisper. The last thing my eyes ever felt wasn't pain. It was you. Tears blurred my vision. And maybe, she said, that's why I never forgot it. I pulled her close, unable to stop the emotion rushing through me. I'm here, I whispered. I'll always be here. She held me tightly, never looking away, not with her eyes but with something deeper. And for the first time, she didn't fear what she couldn't see. She trusted what she felt, trusted me. Becoming adults didn't happen suddenly on our 18th birthday. It came slowly in choices, in changes, in new fears we didn't know how to name. But we were different now. We weren't 2 enemies trapped in the same story anymore. We were 2 sisters, learning how to walk forward without stepping on old wounds. And the world was waiting for us loud, uncertain, huge. The college question. College brochures arrived in the mail every day. Bright colors, big promises, pictures of smiling students with perfect hair and perfect futures. My parents left them on the table for us to look at, but they never pushed. One night, Lina and I sat together on the couch with a stack of those brochures. I flipped through one. Look at this campus, I said. It's huge, Lina smirked. I can't exactly look. Okay, listen to me describe this campus. I tried with a laugh. She nudged me with her shoulder. What's it like? Lots of trees. Big stone buildings. A river running through the center. She paused. It sounds beautiful, she whispered. I looked at her face, soft, thoughtful, hopeful in a way I wasn't used to seeing. Do you want to go to college? I asked. She swallowed. I do. But I'm scared. What scares you? She took a deep breath. That people will treat me like a child, she said. Or like I'm fragile. Or like I don't belong there. You do belong, I said firmly. She shook her head a little. And I'm scared to leave this house. This routine. This safety. I put my arm around her. You don't have to decide today. I know. Then, quieter. Do you know where you want to go? I hesitated. I've been thinking about studying psychology, I admitted. Helping people. Maybe helping people like us. She was quiet for a moment. Like us? She asked softly. People who grew up with pain they didn't understand, I said. People who carry invisible things. She leaned into me. You'd be good at that, she whispered. I smiled. But part of me wondered if choosing my path would pull us apart in ways I wasn't ready for. One afternoon, while cleaning the attic, I found an old camera, a small one, dusty, forgotten. When I brought it downstairs, Lina asked, "What is that?" "A camera," I said. "You can take photos with it. Mom said it belonged to Dad." She reached out, feeling its shape. The buttons, the cool metal. "I wish," she stopped. "You wish what?" I asked gently. "I wish I could see the pictures I take." I hesitated. Then a thought hit me, simple but suddenly electric. "You can," I said. She frowned. "How?" "I'll take the pictures you shoot, and I'll describe them in detail. And you'll draw what you imagine." Her breath caught. "That's possible? Let's try." We stepped outside a quiet street, winter air crisp around us. I placed the camera in her hands. "Point it toward the sound of the wind," I said. She listened, tilting her head slightly. The wind rustled through the trees. She lifted the camera, aimed it, and pressed the shutter. Click. She smiled. A real, glowing smile. Did it work? She asked. I checked. Yes. What does it look like? The branches are thin and tangled, I described. Like delicate fingers reaching up. The sky behind them is pale, almost white. Lina imagined it slowly, carefully. It sounds beautiful, she whispered. We took more photos, her shooting, me describing. At the end of the day, she said, I want to keep doing this. So we did. It became our thing, our bridge between light and darkness. Her cane tapped the world. My camera captured it. Her fingers painted what she felt. Together, we created something neither of us could make alone. But healing isn't a straight line. One night, I heard the sound of something falling in Lina's room, a heavy thud and a sharp gasp. I ran in. She was on the floor, her hands shaking violently, her breathing fast, too fast. Lina? I dropped beside her. What happened? I reached for my lamp, she stammered. My hand missed. I couldn't find the table. Everything felt wrong. She was panicking not because she was hurt, but because she was scared of the dark again. I held her shoulders gently. It's okay, I said. You're okay. She shook her head hard, tears spilling down her cheeks. I thought I was past this, she whispered. I thought I wasn't afraid anymore. Everyone gets scared, I said softly. Not like this, she cried. Not of their own house, not of their own room. I pulled her into a hug. You're not alone, I whispered. I'm right here. She leaned into me, trembling. I feel broken, she said. You're not broken, I whispered. You're human. But part of me ached a deep, helpless ache because I knew her fear ran deeper than a fall, deeper than darkness, deeper than anything she could explain. It was the fear of losing control, the fear of needing someone, the fear of her world slipping away again. And I couldn't take that fear from her. I could only hold her while she fought it. A month later, acceptance letters arrived. I got into a university an hour away, good psychology program, good campus, good opportunities. My parents were thrilled. Lina was quiet. That evening, she sat beside me on the couch, her fingers tracing the seams of the cushion. I want you to go, she said softly. My heart twisted. You don't sound excited, she smiled faintly. I am. I want you to have a life that isn't just protecting me. I swallowed. Lina, I'm not going to leave you behind. Yes, you are, she whispered. And that's okay. My throat tightened. You shouldn't have to stay because of me, she said. You shouldn't shrink your world to fit mine. I wouldn't do that. You already have, she said gently. I didn't argue. She was right. I had shaped my world around her without meaning to. Then she said something I didn't expect. I applied to a school, too. I blinked. You did? Yes. She pulled out a folded letter. It's a program for visually impaired artists. They help students use touch-based mediums. Sculpture, tactile design, haptic art. My heart swelled. That's perfect for you. She bit her lip. It's only 20 minutes from your university. I stared at her. You planned that? I hoped, she confessed. Tears blurred my vision. We could be close, she said softly. Independent, but still connected. Like two trees sharing the same soil, I whispered. Exactly. I hugged her tightly. I'm proud of you, I said. She clung to me. I'm proud of us, she whispered. On our last weekend before moving out, we returned to the old oak tree by the creek, the place where we'd found ourselves again. The sun was setting, tinting the air with soft gold. Lina reached out, touching the bark as if greeting an old friend. The world feels big, she said quietly. It is. She turned toward my voice. Do you think we'll be okay out there? Together? I said. Yes. Separately? Yes, I said firmly. Because we're not really separate, not anymore. She took a slow breath. I used to think being your twin was a curse. I looked at her, heart aching. And now? I asked. She turned her head toward the sound of the creek, listening. Now, she said slowly, I think it's the one thing that saves me. I swallowed hard. Promise me something, Mara. Anything. Promise me we won't run from each other again, she whispered. I promise. and that we won't let fear decide our future. I promise that, too. And, her voice wavered, promise me that if one of us falls behind, the other won't carry her, but will walk beside her until she stands again. I squeezed her hand. That's the easiest promise I'll ever make. We stayed there until the last light faded. Two sisters standing in the quiet glow of everything they had survived. Two hearts learning not to fear the dark. Two lives that were finally moving forward together. Leaving home felt like tearing something that had only just begun to heal. Boxes lined the hallway. Shoes without pairs. The house smelled like cardboard and memory. Lina sat on the floor of her room, folding clothes carefully, one item at a time. Her movements were calm, slow, not scared, but thoughtful. You packing okay? I asked. Yes, she said. Just trying to remember where everything goes. I leaned against the doorframe. You don't have to memorize everything today. I know, she said. But I like knowing where my world is. That sentence stayed with me. For Lina, order wasn't control, it was safety. And for me, safety had always meant her. The morning we left, our parents hugged us like they were afraid we might disappear if they let go too soon. Mom cried quietly into Lina's hair. Dad hugged me so tightly I could barely breathe. We'll be okay, Lina said softly. We promise. I loaded the last box into the trunk and closed it with a solid click. Then, it was time. Lina stood beside me on the porch, the same porch where she had once refused to touch my hand. Now, she reached for it without thinking. I'm ready, she said. So am I. And that surprised me, because for the first time, I truly was. College wasn't gentle. It was loud, crowded, overwhelming. My campus buzzed with voices, music, movement, thousands of lives colliding at once. Lina's school was quieter, structured, built for accessibility. But that didn't mean it was easy. The first week, she called me late at night. Mara, she whispered. I'm here. I can't sleep, she admitted. The halls sound different. I don't know the footsteps yet. I closed my eyes. You want me to come over? She hesitated. No, she whispered. Stay. I just need to hear your voice. So I stayed on the phone while she breathed, grounding herself in sound. The next night, roles reversed. I called her, my voice shaky. I think I chose the wrong major, I said. Everyone already knows what they're doing. She smiled through the phone. I don't, she said. So I think you're doing fine. What Lina built. Months passed. Lina changed. Not into someone new, into someone rooted. She learned the layout of her campus through sound and touch. She memorized distances with her steps. She learned which doors echoed hollow and which smelled like paint or paper. And then came her art. She sculpted emotions into clay. Fear, trust, grief, hope. Her hands molded what she felt. Her professors noticed. Other students noticed. One day she told me, voice shaking with excitement. They want to display my work. I laughed. Of course they do. No, she said, in a public gallery. I didn't answer at first. I cried. What I learned? Studying psychology opened wounds I didn't expect. Every lecture about trauma felt personal. Every case study felt like someone was reading my life aloud. One night, I wrote in my notebook, guilt doesn't come from what you did, it comes from what you survived. When I shared that thought with Lina, she was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, you don't need to carry my pain anymore. I answered honestly, I never carried it. We shared it. The gallery night. The night of Lina's first exhibition, I stood beside her while people walked through the room, murmuring, touching textured pieces, pausing longer than expected. One sculpture stood in the center. Two forms, intertwined. One guiding, one steadying. Someone asked, what does it represent? Lina smiled. Sisters, she said. Not perfect ones, just real ones. Later, when the room was quiet, she whispered to me, I used to think the dark took everything from me. What do you think now? I asked. She turned toward my voice. I think the dark taught me how to feel. The truth, at last. Years later, not months, not weeks, years, a medical specialist offered new information. Advanced imaging, modern research, a clearer understanding of twin pregnancies. They told us the truth gently. Lina's blindness was congenital, caused by a developmental condition unrelated to womb position. Nothing pushed, nothing crushed, nothing stolen. My hands shook when I heard it. Not because I felt relieved, but because I felt free. When I told Lina, she was silent for a long time. Then she said, "I already forgave you." I swallowed. "Before," she continued. "But now, I forgive the. We still fight sometimes. We still misunderstand. We still fear. But we no longer blame. On quiet nights, we talk about the future. She dreams of teaching art. I dream of helping families heal. And sometimes," she says, "describe the sky to me." And I do. But I also say, "What do you feel?" Because she sees things I never could. Final moment. One evening, sitting beneath the same old oak tree, Lina said, "I don't regret being born blind." I turned to her, shocked. "I regret how long it took me to stop hating myself," she added. "And how long it took us to find each other." She reached for my hand firm. "Sure. But I see you now," she said. "Every part of you. And I always will." I squeezed her hand. And in that moment, I knew the truth. She was never the sister who could not see. She was the sister who learned to see deeper. And I was never the sister who hurt her. I was the one who stayed. Advice for the viewers. Don't blame yourself for things you didn't choose. Sometimes we carry guilt for years over things that were never in our control. Being born different, surviving something someone else didn't, or having an easier path does not make you guilty. It just makes you human. If something wasn't a choice, it shouldn't be a punishment. Pain doesn't mean someone caused it. Bad things happen without villains. Not every wound has a person to blame. Blaming someone may feel easier than sitting with pain, but it keeps healing far away. Understanding brings peace even when answers come late. Talk before the silence grows. Unspoken thoughts become lies inside the mind. The longer you stay quiet, the more the story twists. Say the hard thing early. Ask the question you're afraid of. Honesty hurts, but silence destroys. Independence doesn't mean loneliness. Needing help does not mean weakness. Love doesn't steal freedom, fear does. Let people walk beside you. You don't have to prove strength by doing everything alone. Forgiveness is not forgetting, it's choosing peace. Forgiveness doesn't erase history. It frees the future. You don't forgive to excuse harm. You forgive to stop reliving it. See people more than their limits. A disability, difference, or past trauma is only part of a person, never the whole story. When you look beyond what someone lacks, you make space for who they truly are. Stay with the ones you love even when it's hard. Love is not always gentle. Sometimes it stays, listens, waits, and refuses to leave. Being there matters more than fixing anything. Final message. You don't need perfect understanding to heal. You need compassion, patience, and truth. And remember, some people don't see with their eyes. Some don't see with their hearts. And some learn slowly, painfully, how to do both. If you stay open, healing will meet you where you are. Difference, or past trauma, is only part of a person, never the whole story. When you look beyond what someone lacks, you make space for who they truly are. Stay with the ones you love even when it's hard. Love is not always gentle. Sometimes it stays, listens, waits, and refuses to leave. Being there matters more than fixing anything. Final message. You don't need perfect understanding to heal. You need compassion, patience, and truth. And remember, some people don't see with their eyes. Some don't see with their hearts. And some learn slowly, painfully, how to do both. If you stay open, healing will meet you where you are. Difference, or past trauma, is only part of a person, never the whole story. When you look beyond what someone lacks, you make space for who they truly are. Stay with the ones you love even when it's hard. Love is not always gentle. Sometimes it stays, listens, waits, and refuses to leave. Being there matters more than fixing anything. Final message. You don't need perfect understanding to heal. You need compassion, patience, and truth. And remember, some people don't see with their eyes. Some don't see with their hearts. And some learn slowly, painfully, how to do both. If you stay open, healing will meet you where you are. Difference, or past trauma, is only part of a person, never the whole story. When you look beyond what someone lacks, you make space for who they truly are. Stay with the ones you love even when it's hard. Love is not always gentle. Sometimes it stays, listens, waits, and refuses to leave. Being there matters more than fixing anything. Final message. You don't need perfect understanding to heal. You need compassion, patience, and truth. And remember, some people don't see with their eyes. Some don't see with their hearts. And some learn slowly, painfully, how to do both. If you stay open, healing will meet you where you are. Difference, or past trauma, is only part of a person, never the whole story. When you look beyond what someone lacks, you make space for who they truly are. Stay with the ones you love even when it's hard. Love is not always gentle. Sometimes it stays, listens, waits, and refuses to leave. Being there matters more than fixing anything. Final message. You don't need perfect understanding to heal. You need compassion, patience, and truth. And remember, some people don't see with their eyes. Some don't see with their hearts. And some learn slowly, painfully, how to do both. If you stay open, healing will meet you where you are. Difference, or past trauma, is only part of a person, never the whole story. When you look beyond what someone lacks, you make space for who they truly are. Stay with the ones you love even when it's hard. Love is not always gentle. Sometimes it stays, listens, waits, and refuses to leave. Being there matters more than fixing anything. Final message. You don't need perfect understanding.